I feel like we're on the cusp of decriminalizing and then legalizing marijuana right here in British Columbia. And you know, by this time next year, you're going to be able to drive down to Washington State and walk into a really nice establishment and say, "I'd like to buy some marijuana, please." And they will sell you some wonderful Washington-grown marijuana. We should be able to do that right here in British Columbia. And the way we're going to do that is with the Sensible BC campaign. And we've actually written a law called the Sensible Policing Act, and this law, it does 4 very reasonable things, I think. This law, the first thing it does is it makes all the police in British Columbia stop spending any time or money on searching or arresting marijuana users. So this law would decriminalize marijuana possession as a first step. The next thing this law does is if you're a minor with marijuana, it treats you the same as if it was alcohol. So there's no criminal records, no handcuffing if you're under 18. The third thing this law does is it formally calls upon the federal government to end their stupid war on marijuana and repeal marijuana prohibition. So we decriminalize possession, we demand the federal government change the marijuana laws, and then the last thing this law does is it starts the process of figuring out how do push the wrong button.
The police are here!
Okay, whoops, I was excited. Too many switches. So the last thing this law does is sets up a commission to figure out how do we legalize in BC? What are the rules and regulations around legal marijuana so we can make this happen quickly and easily and get these laws changed right here in BC as soon as possible. And you know, we can make this happen. We can get this law passed no matter what our political leaders say. It looks like our next premier is going to be Adrian Dix, and he said a few days ago that he supports decriminalization of marijuana, which is great to hear.
But he's too coward to do it.
Adrian Dix was actually born on 4/20, so I take that as a good sign for our future. But we're going to get this law passed no matter what the next government does. We're not relying on Adrian Dix. We're not relying on the NDP. We're relying on ourselves, people power. We'll do it the same way here they did it in Washington, the same way they did it in Colorado, the same way they legalized medical marijuana in California and 18 other states. They didn't wait for their politicians to give them permission. They wrote their own laws. They got the signatures they needed. They put those laws on the ballot. They passed those laws in a referendum. They made it happen no matter what their political leaders said. We can do the same thing right here in British Columbia. We've written our own law. We can pass it by ourselves using the people power of the referendum. But it's not easy. We need to get a lot of signatures. We need to get signatures from 400,000 British Columbians all around the province. And we only have 90 days to do it. So we're going to start that 90-day clock this September. And we need you to help volunteer, to register yourself, your friends, your family, get involved so that when we come to September, we have a huge head start. We've got volunteers coming here today to talk to you. They've got buttons like this, they got sign-up sheets, they're going to be coming around collecting your information. Don't just sign up, tell them you want to volunteer, that you want to get involved in Sensible BC. Because you know, all of us were born into this terrible war. None of us here have ever been alive at a time when marijuana is legal. These laws have been around for so long that none of us have ever lived in a different kind of world. Sometimes it might even seem almost normal that marijuana is illegal, but I tell you what, it's not normal at all. And when we look back with the benefit of history upon this time, and the violence and the problems and the money and the imprisonment caused by marijuana prohibition, we will see very clearly the harms caused by these laws and how much better the world is once we've ended this futile war on marijuana. But there's no guarantee that we're going to change these laws. It takes hard work, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice. Get involved in this campaign. You know, the same day that they legalized in Washington, Colorado, on the very same day here in Canada, Stephen Harper's mandatory minimums came into play. They came into force, and you can now get up to 9 months in prison. BC, then Alberta, and so on.